I don't know, man. Not if people like the band Sivir against Impulse. These guys get it every time. Another one and another win coming out of the jungle. I'm here with Rush now for Team Impulse as he played in another amazing game. Rush, my first question to you is pretty much for the team. You guys have really patched things up in the early game. Where is this confidence coming from, and what's new with the team? You guys have been playing so well.
요즘 들어서 팀이 너무 잘하시는데 이런 자신감은 어디서 나오시는 거고 뭐가 달라졌는지 좀 설명해 주세요.
일단 저희 팀에 솔로큐 1등과 2등 선수가 있고 그냥 요즘 연습할 때도 다 열심히 하고 이제 어느 정도 커뮤니케이션 문제도 점점 나아지고 있어서 그런지 성적이 잘 나오는 것 같아요.
So first of all, we have number 1 and number 2 in solo queue on our team, and secondly, we worked hard, practiced hard, and our communication improved a lot. So I think that's where confidence is coming from.
Well, the hard work is definitely paying off. I want to ask you a question about your Nidalee and Lee Sin. Why are you so comfortable on these champions, and why do you think other junglers aren't going to pick them up for the competitive play?
왜냐면은 사실 제가 다른 렉사이나 그라가츠 같은 탱커형 정글러를 정말 못하는 건 아닌데 리신 니달리를 고집하는 이유는 이 챔피언들은 실수를 하지 않으면 정말 강력해요. 그러니까 또 뭔 소리냐면 실수를 하면 약해질 수 있지만 실수 안 하면 강해진다는 점이 저는 이걸 좋아하고 다른 선수들을 선호하지 않는 이유인 것 같아요.
So it's not that I can't play Rek'Sai and Gragas, all these tanky jungle champions, but Lee Sin and Nidalee, if you can play them perfectly and don't make any mistake, like that's where the like competitive edge coming from, and I am confident that I can make those plays.
Well, your confidence definitely shines through, as well as you said, with the team and your placement in solo queue and into the competitive games. Tomorrow, Team 8, they just took down Team Solo Mid. Rush, how are you feeling about that game?
사실 저희 팀이 스프링 때도 1라운드 때 4승 5패라고 2라운드 때 7승 2패를 했는데 그때 2패를 했던 팀이 우연인데 이게 정말 디그니타스랑 팀메이트예요. 근데 이번에 팀에서 다시 만나게 돼서 이번에는 그냥 다시 부셔주고 싶어요.
4승 5패랑 7승 2패
저번 시즌 1라운드랑 2라운드요. 1라운드 때 4승 5패하고 2라운드 때 7승.
So last season in the first round we were 4 and 5, and then second round 7 and 2, and those two games that we lost were against Team 8 and Dignitas. So it's like what a coincidence. So yeah.
Well, best of luck in your games. Congratulations on the victory today, and best of luck tomorrow. Thank you very much, Sunny, for the translation as well. We're going to throw it to the analyst desk to break down the rest of the day.
Thank you, Riv and Impulse, as Kobe had mentioned, securing a very important victory for them as they make this run for playoffs. But I want to key into something that Rush said during that interview, which is that he looks at these aggressive champions like Lee Sin and Nidalee as an opportunity to gain an advantage if he can play them properly. And I think that's a really interesting way to look at these champions, whereas other junglers are shying away from them.
Yeah, it's kind of the margin for error. If you play it perfectly, you're going to get a huge advantage, and you have to keep the pressure on for a very long time. That's the big thing about Lee Sin and Nidalee. You can't take your foot off the gas because then the other team catches up to you. Whereas other junglers, when you're tanky and caught out, you have a larger margin for error. You're not going to get blown up in team fights. And you can see Rush in a lot of those team fights got very low, and he even sacrificed himself sometimes to actually allow the follow-up. So he had to play perfectly, and this was a great example of a great game from him. He had 100% kill participation for the majority of this game. Up
until that final
fight, he fell off, but that was it. Otherwise, it's just an immaculate game from him, and we've seen a lot of those. So he's not afraid to take the game into his own hands, and I love seeing that in a jungler.
Right, so it makes you wonder then, with this in mind, this idea that you can gain an advantage through playing, one of these champions very well. As we move into the postseason, and you're going up against tougher opponents, naturally, and you're moving into best-of-5 series where teams have more time to adapt and adjust strategies, is that a sustainable approach for a team to say, we're just going to go ham left and right and hope to execute perfectly?
It is sustainable, but you have to execute it perfectly. And in a best-of-5 environment, there are counters to it. You can draft appropriately. You can draft it with safe lanes and make sure they aren't exploitable. But there's a lot of adaptation there. It is sustainable more so against bottom teams. But like I said, against the top teams, it's just the margin for error. Even just playing against top teams becomes smaller and smaller. You can't make mistakes or else the game is over. And we saw that last playoffs too. When he'd pick the Lee Sin, when he'd pick the Nunu, and it wasn't going for him, and he made these tiny mistakes, the game just gets out of hand. You're going to snowball either direction. And it's like he said in his feature, I look really dumb when I do these plays, or I look like a god.
It's one or the other.
And he's totally fine with that, and I love seeing that.
Well, it seems or it appears that more often than not, he looks like a god. And it is working for them now. We'll see if they can expand their playbook as they move into the playoffs. Now, there are just 5 more